All right. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Tori, and this evening I have the pleasure of welcoming my very dear friend Casey from Bookishly Bookish, who has been my K-drama buddy for like 6 months at this point. We've done a girls' weekend. It's pretty official, I think, at this point.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Nope. Oh, okay. Well, hopefully this will help us get to know each other a little bit better. But before you do anything else, go down in the description box below and click the link to Casey's channel so that we can all pressure her into making some videos again for us soon. But she's lovely and has very strong opinions about books that are mostly correct. So you should go check those out.
Mostly correct. Okay, we have something to talk about.
Hey, Laura, how's it going? Laura is my current Dark Age buddy read buddy, and it's been lovely to have somebody to talk to through the experience.
The interesting experience.
It has been it's been an interesting experience for sure. Hey, Daniel. Hey, Britton. Hi, Kale. Good morning.
I can chat myself too.
Must be across the pond. All right, so everybody in the chat, let us know what you are reading / drinking / what'd you have for dinner in
Tori,
the comments.
What are you drinking?
None of your business. I'm just kidding. I am drinking rum and orange juice because it's really hot here, and that just sounded delightful. So it's delightful. Pretty basic.
You didn't say orange juice. You just said orange juice.
Rum and orange juice.
You said pineapple earlier.
Yeah, it was pineapple, rum, and orange juice. Sorry.
Okay. Oh,
specific kind of rum. Sorry.
Okay. Gotcha. I was like, wait a minute.
I thought you left No, I thought you left out the pineapple on purpose because you were mad about it.
I mean, I have strong opinions, so that are mostly correct.
Hey, Brian, how's it going?
Hello.
Hi, Anita. All right, so I'm going to start us off with a little bit of an icebreaker that I collected earlier, and I'm going to see how much we can make Casey panic with these rapid fire questions, because I'm a nice friend.
Yeah, the ADHD indecision, it doesn't go well. And
for anybody who doesn't know, Casey and I are ADHD twins, and we are usually a hot mess, and it's quite fabulous. We're
the same person. So
it's true in a lot of ways. Very, very true. When we went on our girls' weekend in April, it was really funny because it was 2 ADHDers in a house for a weekend, and it was delightful, honestly.
Hey,
we forgot lots of things. I don't know. Do you know where that is? No, I forgot. No. Yeah, honestly, it's like 100 degrees in this room right now, so the drink is helping me stay alive a little bit. Daniel just finished The Crimes of Rooker Flynn by A.R. Witham and reading Tress. Reading it with your girlfriend now. Nice.
Tress was so fun.
That is one that I'm warming to. At first I was like, ew, it's a romance. And now I'm like, maybe it'll be cute. I've heard good things about it.
I wouldn't call it a romance.
I mean, it is Brandon Sanderson, so
it is, but I still wouldn't call it a romance. Okay. I think I wouldn't call it a romance. It was very cute. And
more kind of whimsical, cozy, maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
100%. I would call it that before I call it a romance, personally. But I'm only mostly right.
You're never gonna let me forget that, are you? No. Laura has been my anchor through this Dark Age read. It's been great, and we have mostly the same opinions on it. I think pretty much all the same opinions on it so far. So, kind of. We're both in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Upper Midwest.
And then, just drive 7 hours each way.
Yeah, we kind of met in the middle. Yeah.
So it wasn't too bad. Like 7 hours is a decent drive. I mean, we live in the States, so like 7 hours is kind of nothing to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I'll drive 7 hours to go hang out for a weekend. Absolutely. Now a day trip, absolutely not. I'll not do that for a day trip, but for a weekend, yeah.
Well, you'd get there and say hi and turn around and leave.
Exactly. So, we're done. Nice to meet you. Goodbye.
Yep. So. You know what, Daniel? If it's ever encouraging to you, if we can do it, anyone can do it.
If Tori can do it, anyone can do it, because I haven't done it in like 8 months. So
we'll get there. Yeah. Booktubers take breaks. That's healthy.
Well, it's your fault. So the break is your fault. And I'm not mad about it. I'm just saying it is your fault.
Why is it my fault, Casey?
Because K-dramas and ADHD hyperfixation, and we are still directly in the middle of the massive hyperfixation that I have no control over. So we're just let her do what she's got to do.
Yeah. So speaking of K-dramas, I actually want to start with that, because I've had a lot of conversations in the book community about K-dramas up to this point. And I always tell people, especially when it comes to the historical K-dramas, I actually think a lot of epic fantasy fans would love them.
100%.
Would love 100%. Them, because you've got this like big sprawling epic story. It's usually contained within 16 episodes, which I actually really love, because as most of us know, like how many of our favorite shows go too long,
way too long,
and just kind of die at the end. And that's the one thing that I do really like about K-dramas, is it's like a contained, sometimes there's a season 2, but often not.
Right. 100%. So, I agree with that. If you are a fan, high fantasy, maybe a historical fantasy fan, depending on the culture and whatnot that you're into, then absolutely 100% K-dramas would be something that I think that you could get on with. I mean, there's going to be very little, and even with quite a few of them, there still is magic involved. Portal fantasy exists. There's
a lot of magic realism. There's a lot of fantasy K-dramas. Yep.
So, I mean, if you're not looking for a hardcore magic focused story, absolutely historical K-dramas 100%. And start with My Country, because you should.
It's because it's my favorite.
It's the best ever.
It's amazing.
It's so good.
The other thing that I always tell people too is I'm such a character focused reader. And that was something that K-dramas really spoke to for me as well, because they are incredibly character focused for the most part. And it goes deeper with characters than I feel like a lot of Western shows do. Not all of them. I've seen some really good Western shows too, obviously, but like that's just such a focus in K-dramas that it really makes me happy.
Yeah. Well, you get the fleshing out of the side characters that we typically don't see in Western media. Western media, they want to focus on those main characters, and then the side characters very often get swept aside.
They're cardboard cutouts.
They're cutouts. There's nothing special about them. We care nothing about them, because they're just there to take up the space, to make it feel more lived in, make it feel more real. And that's it. That's as deep as it goes. But in even just an 8-episode show that I just previously watched maybe last week or so, each episode was maybe 20 minutes long. We had 3 other side characters besides just the 2 main characters, plus their partners and or others that they were, and they all had full, complete start to finish arcs of a story. And they're just the side characters that happen to live in the same house. And we got full stories of all of them. And I loved every single one of them. And these episodes are 20 minutes long, and there's 8 episodes. You don't see that really in a lot of in any really Western media. And maybe there's some out there, I'm sure, but not any that I've consumed. And I absolutely love that aspect. I want to know more about the world, but the people in it as well. If you're going to tell me that there's a best friend or a cousin or a neighbor, I want to know about them.
So if you were to give like 3 recommendations to people that have been like your top K-dramas so far in your, because you've watched quite a few at this point.
I've watched quite a few. Yeah. Definitely My Country. If you want that historical high fantasy feel, it's going to be My Country. I'm very glad we started with that one. I know it set the expectations high. Set the bar, but it also will let you know what you want out of the K-dramas and the stories that you're consuming. And if something is not meeting that bar and you don't want to spend time with it,
DNF it.
DNF it. Or, come back to it later when you're looking for some fluff. But 100% My Country, I would start from there. I should have grabbed my journal so I could put to my journal.
Sorry.
What have I watched? It's been 6 months. If you're liking a thriller, I would recommend Duel, though it's going to be hard to find because you do need a VPN. But Duel is a sort of science fiction thriller that works or has the use of like cloning and different science aspects in when it comes to cloning. And if anybody likes the amnesia trope is in there, and there's a lot of great actors and characters in that, but it is confined. But again, you get that main characters who all have full fleshed out stories with their side characters as well. As for the third one, oh goodness,
I'm putting these in the chat, everybody. So if
the third one, what would my third one be? Oh man, I might have to think about it and come back to that.
Okay, I'll put the two that we mentioned already and where you can find them. Also, another really good psychological thriller with a little bit of horror aspect that's also on Netflix is Flower of Evil. That one's very good. If you want something that is like a dark fairy tale romance with phenomenal characters, watch It's Okay Not to Be Okay.
Oh, that's my number 3. That's my number 3. Yep. That's that one. That is just such a phenomenally told story when it comes to characters and mental health and the subtlety that is used with these characters and portraying each individual type of mental health that they talk about when they talk about it. I mean, the part with the end, one of the main characters, I don't want to give any spoilers away, of course, but the child at the end, just my whole entire heart, the way that they shot that, the way that they communicated,
it's beautiful,
without saying a single word to tell you. It is all visual. It is all in the camera, and it's all in how they shot that scene with those characters. And they didn't spoon feed any of it. They expect you to pick this stuff up. They don't want you to just word vomit to you what's happening. If you don't get it, it's still a good story. That's completely fine. And you'll still enjoy the story. But if you pick up on those little tiny details and nuances, the depth of that story is absolutely profound. And it is just really phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
It's in my top 3 for sure. And it's a romance that I actually think is really nuanced and interesting. It's not perfect by any means.
It's hilarious at times.
And very toxic at times.
Very toxic.
Even. But it's a really awesome story of people growing. And that's the thing that I miss in a lot of romances where the characters, one or both of them, are involved in really unhealthy behaviors or anything like that, is there's really not a lot of growth usually.
Right.
And this, that one is just amazing.
I think it's important to specify the toxicity that is that relationship that are these characters is not something that's portrayed to the viewer as acceptable. And that's important. When you have toxic characters, toxic people exist. They're a part of life. We're not going to get away from it. But when you're telling a story that includes toxic characters, it is important to not portray that as acceptable, normal, or healthy in any way.
Right.
So to give the audience these characters this is who they are. This is why, if you're going to pick up on it, this is why. And now we're going to show you how they're going to grow and phase through that toxicity and out of that toxicity into a healthy and more stable relationship as an individual and as a whole. And I think that's very important when we're talking about toxicity when it comes to characters. A lot of people go, oh, toxic characters, and they think about all the, Twilight and all that kind of those stories that are just, they're given to us like that should be sexy. Right. Or that should be desirable. And that's just not the case. That shouldn't be desirable. And they don't do that. And It's Okay to Not to Be Okay. And that's what I really appreciated about that aspect of those characters.
Also, one of the best found family bonds I've ever seen.
And it's sibling bonds.
And sibling bonds. Yep.
In a very different way that we don't see very often, because the strength behind that sibling bond there is just rips your heart out. Rips your heart out.
It's so good. If you want a really emotional experience, watch a K-drama.
The tree. That's all I'm going to say is the 100%. Tree. I want to cry. So,
Laura's saying that Tress is the Princess Bride with more agency. Love
100%.
that. It's romance. Okay, that makes sense. That's right. I do remember hearing something about Princess Bride.
I think you'll like it, Tori. If you go into it thinking it's not a romance and thinking it's
like a whimsical cozy. Sure.
Yeah. Okay. I think you'll like it.
Daniel, that is incredibly impressive. That is For sure. That is a hyper focus right there. That's impressive. See, that's the thing. It can make us very scatterbrained, but also when we hook onto something, like, we can accomplish a lot of amazing things.
It truly becomes a superpower at times if you can really utilize it. Other times,
it's just a mess.
Other times, I will see you in 10 days because I don't exist into the world and I have things to do for my brain.
Hey, Zamar. So Zamar just had a book come out, and another book is coming out shortly called The Riven Earth, and I have heard amazing reviews about this book already, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it. I can't wait. So you guys should go check out. Casey, do you have YouTube playing in the background?
I do. Can you hear it? Oh, just okay.
I was wondering if you had it playing, and then I wondered if I had it playing.
I'm trying to read the comments so we can get the.
Can you see them on my side of the screen? You can't see them. Okay.
No, I can see you. Okay, cool. I can see them when you pop up. Yeah, I just want to be a part of the discussion.
This is a great way to explain this, Daniel. When I can hyperfocus, it's like I have superpowers, but I can't predict it, and the chances that it will fail when I'm depending on it are very high. Absolutely.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep. Zamar, I think you should definitely check out some historical K-dramas. Definitely try My Country, The New Age. That is one that I recommend. Also, The Crowned Clown is phenomenal. That's like a Prince and the Pauper story. And the guy who plays both of the characters that look alike is just one of the best actors I've seen in a K-drama. He's excellent.
I think
we still need to watch that one.
Doesn't Moon Lovers fall under historical as well?
Yes, Moon Lovers is also Moon Lovers. Yes, because it's a historical drama where a modern day character goes through a portal essentially and goes back in time and tries to stop a horrible like family catastrophe from happening essentially. That one's also very good. I have heard of Monster. And I'm trying to remember, somebody on BookTube read that recently, I think.
I read the first half of the first volume.
Did you?
Yeah.
I've been trying a bunch of different anime recently. Oh, nice. I do want to watch some more anime this year. I have been missing some anime.
That's the next hyper focus.
Right? Oh, 100%. Laura, I've committed. I'm gonna read the Emily Henry books that you sent me, and we'll see how it goes. I'm past Bride now. That experience was had, and now I can try to scrape it from my memory.
I enjoyed hearing about that experience.
It's everything wrong with paranormal romance in a book. Like, it just anyways, Daniel says that's always interesting to look at. To what extent does the artist understand the toxicity they're portraying is indeed toxic? Absolutely. What about stuff like Fight Club where people get the opposite? Yeah, and when people are doing it with intentionality to explore and to show a arc with the characters, whichever direction it goes, like, I appreciate that. When it's just a bunch of characters that are toxic and it's portrayed as desirable or normalized, that's annoying.
And most stories will make it pretty clear, at least by the end, what that author is intending with how they're writing it. It's very clear, I think, in It's Okay to Not to Be Okay, that it's the writers know exactly
100%
what they're doing and how they're doing it and how it's being viewed and portrayed. I wonder sometimes if some of the toxic relationships and whatnot that we see in books, if the writers know what they're doing. I wonder sometimes if they know really how toxic their toxicity is in the writing. And that's the part that concerns me, is if this is something that you're not having a conversation about, that we're not trying to make better or change in the overall aspect of humanity. That makes me a little nervous about things with some people.
Yeah, I totally get that. This is very true, Britton. My characters usually have different opinions than I do on how the plot line should go. So we do have discussions about that on a regular basis. Certain characters more than other, not to name any names, but Sindri. So if you've read Bloodstones, you know. Hi, Derry. How's it going? This is, I really wish that audiobooks were not so pricey to produce because I hear that, Zamar. I knew it was Murphy and Phillip. That was my guess. The ones that read Monster.
Mm-hmm.
I can use words.
Well, I mean, we have started drinking.
I've had like 3 sips.
So you had more prior. You give yourself
2, maybe. Yeah, I remember them having mixed opinions on that. I would probably want to watch the anime, I think, for that one. I think maybe. Nice. I hope you enjoy it, Zamar, because it's an experience. Yes. My favorite character of all time in any medium is in that show. And that's like in any medium, books, shows, anything.
And honestly, at this point in time, I think I would probably agree with that. For myself, I would probably
the layers of that character.
Unbelievable. The amount that they put in with everything else that they were telling in that story, it's just phenomenal.
It's a masterpiece. Honestly,
it truly is.
It's a masterpiece. You did warn me, Laura. I appreciate you. Thank you, Derry. Yes, I realized that Bride was a choice. I didn't choose it technically. I read it with a friend so that she wasn't alone, and she hasn't finished it yet. So we'll see if she does. I have heard of Nalini Singh before, so I have to get Paranormal Romance is once again in timeout for me for a while. Because that was a scarring experience, but
little bits at a time.
Let's see. So let's do yes. They have been. Yes, I have been getting those rants as well, Laura. Okay, so let's do it's great fun. Let's do some rapid fire questions where I'm going to ask Casey some questions about characters and favorites in the books that she's read. And you guys are more than welcome to play along in the chat, answer the question.
Give me ideas.
Give her some ideas. Okay, so the first question. You ready for this?
No.
I can wait.
No. Go.
Consent is important.
Okay, go.
Okay, you have one character from a favorite novel to help you get through work on Monday. Who is it?
Help me get through work on Monday, and you know what's happening at my work at the moment.
I do.
You understand.
That's why I put this question on the list.
Oh, because it's been interesting. If I could have one character to help me get through work on Monday, who would it be?
See,
but
Laura, I think
Glocta?
He would terrify everyone.
Oh, Glocta. That is actually perfect. Everybody in my office needs to leave. Everyone needs to leave. He needs to sit right there, and he needs to shush everybody out so I can get my job done. Glocta. Fantastic answer. Thank you so much for that. Yep.
Derry says Granny Weatherwax from the Witches trilogy, it's not a trilogy, the Witches series in Pratchett. He would also scare he would scare everyone to.
I don't even need them to do work. I just need them to let me do my work, because we went from 6 people down to 2, which means apparently I'm the one who has all the answers to everything. So everyone, 40 women, all come and ask me questions. I need him to get rid of them so that I can do my job.
You need a bouncer is what you need.
I do need a bouncer who will pull my curtain closed and say we're closed.
Nice. Love that. Britton, the question was, you have one character from a favorite novel to help you get through work on Monday. Who's coming along? I'd pick Orso. He'd at least make me look good. My work on Monday is going to be driving and watching my children. So probably not Glocta. No, I don't trust him driving, to be honest, or watching my children.
I'm not sure he could manage a pedal, to be honest.
No, I don't think so. That would be, I don't know who I would pick.
You can use your shelves too.
I can. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. You have permission.
Okay, I would pick Myron, who is the monk from the Rhaeria Revelations, right?
Oh.
Rhaeria Chronicles, Revelations, Chronicles. Which one did I read, guys? I don't remember. But he is a precious little bean of a character who has lived in a monastery and been sequestered his entire life, and then he gets to come out to the wide world and see things for the first time, and it is a beautiful thing. Yes, kid. And also he like gets to ride a horse for the first time, and it's really cute. Aww. So yeah,
I have to get to that series soon. I've been wanting to for a long time.
Jinnid would be an interesting babysitter, Anitha. Katiam would be great. Jinnid would be a very interesting and stoic. I don't know that he'd be a lot of fun. I'm trying to imagine my kids asking. My girls would probably have like flower lays draped around his armor in like 5 seconds, and he'd probably just sit there. So that'd work. Okay. Best animal companion.
Best animal companion. Oh, Tori.
I knew that would be a good one for you.
Oh man. I'm gonna have to go with the literal companions in Valdemar. Mercedes Lackey's Valdemar. The actual horse companions are called companions. I can't say any specific one because they're all just so magical and beautiful, but I'm gonna have to go with the actual companions in Valdemar because horses, and I'm also a horse girl because we're the same person. So yeah.
Nice. Mm-hmm. I'm here for that.
And I grew up with Valdemar. Lackey is an auto-buy author for her Valdemar series for me. And it's just that series, that whole universe has such a special place in my soul because it's just been with me for so long. So yes.
You know what, Derry? Yes. Casey is so well read in like that whole side of fantasy. I'm always incredibly impressed because I'm like, oh, I should read this like veteran SFF female reader. And Casey's like, yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, I was there.
Been there, read that. Yeah.
Yes, long time Lackey reader. Only a Valdemar though. I haven't read anything else of hers. I'm pretty much just on Valdemar. And I want to hear your thoughts about The Last Herald Mage when you get to that omnibus. I want to hear your thoughts.
You will definitely hear all of my thoughts.
Because it is one of my top faves of all time. And I need it to be one of yours too.
No pressure.
No.
Night Eyes is a great answer.
Night Eyes is a great answer.
Great answer. Yeah. Ghost from A Song of Ice and Fire, also a great answer. Mm-hmm. Lying Cat from Saga. Let's see. I assume that's Rob, and I should be worried that animal. I mean, I feel like in fantasy, we're just worried for everyone fair. All the time.
That's honestly fair, though. Like as soon as you hear it's Hob, then yeah.
Sure, yes, absolutely, yes, Daniel. Mm-hmm. I would pick White Fang because I'm loyal like that. But I've been watching House of the Dragon season 1 recently because I was like, all right, I'll catch up and see what's going on. Vagar is like the ancient mom dragon, and she's awesome. Also, Mama T-Rex from Jurassic Park. That's
yes,
absolutely.
Jurassic Park classic. I could rewatch that movie 50 million times in a row, and I'd still be happy.
Mama T-Rex is the best part of the Jurassic Park franchise, and I will fight anyone on that one. Derry says her bardic voices.
I've heard really good things about the bardic voices.
Love Last Herald Light. Nice. Mm-hmm.
The last Herald Mage is going to tear your heart out. It's going to bandage it back up a little bit. It's going to rip it apart again. And then it's going to softly cradle it until it dunks it into a bowl of water. And then you're going to walk away absolutely brutally torn inside, but you're going to love every second of that torture.
So you're describing all of my favorite books, basically.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. I'm here for that.
Yep.
Derry will hold everyone's hand through their Hob experience. Derry is the Hob mom on the internet. Caraxes is also really cool, Derry. I absolutely hear that. I think Vagar's just like really angry, tired mom vibes just make me very happy inside. And yeah, I know she's a choice, Laura. I know she's a little unhinged, and I kind of like that about her, to be honest. But Caraxes is really awesome. Honestly, why are the dragons cooler than their riders all the time, though?
That's how it has to be.
Just saying.
Yep.
Mogget from the Abhorsen trilogy. I haven't read that, but I've heard good things. Okay.
I didn't write a sassy review on that one, but I almost did.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I've heard a couple of people recently read it that really enjoyed it, but that's fair.
Mm-hmm. To be fair, I probably would have loved it as a kid, but I didn't read it as a kid.
Okay, deal. I don't know what are you referring to the end of season 1? One of Michael R. Miller has some fantastic dragons. Absolutely. That's the Songs of Chaos. Ascendant is the first one.
I need to read that.
His dragon rider bond magic is one of the most interesting takes on that I think I've read in a very, very long time. It's very cool.
Mercedes Lackey also has a fantastic Dragon Jouster series, which I absolutely love. Love it, love it. 4 books, so it's not absolutely huge, but the Dragon Jousters by Lackey is great.
We have our special guest.
Yeah. He makes his appearance.
Yes. Okay. So how are we doing so far? How's our level of anxiety with the questions so far?
We have alcohol, so we're great.
Okay. Does Zayden want to introduce himself?
This is Zayden. He is my 15-year-old special child who is a domestic short hair, so should have been the cheapest possible cat I could have ever owned. And I have put thousands of dollars into him because he has issues. And we love him too much to let him succumb to his issues. So
I hear that. Jerry says, Casey, I think you're my spirit animal.
Yes, I can be your spirit animal. I'll be okay with that.
I told Casey at the beginning of before we went live, like, she hands down takes the trophy as my friend who is the most poster child hedge witch ever.
That's me.
Yep.
That's me.
Best romance.
Best romance. See, this
You've
is
read a lot farther in romance than I have. So.
But I haven't read that much because I don't do romance.
More than me.
I think for me, and I'm probably going to be talking about mostly recent reads because like remembering stuff is difficult. Honestly, Daughter of the Forest.
It's a good one.
Daughter of the Forest, because you have a character who is broken and traumatized and struggling, and then you have the romantic interest who very well could just not be the romantic interest for most of the book, and you're okay with that. And the way that it's handled in accepting Sorsha, how she is and how she comes, and letting her find herself again and letting her figure out what her life looks like now after everything that's happened, and meeting her there.
Right.
And not expecting anything more or further or pushing for anything more or further, but just meeting her in that place that she's able to be. And that is by far one of the best outcomes of any sort of romance that I could personally experience in a book.
Yeah, it was.
I
really
don't
good.
want insta love. I don't want big muscles, tall man. I don't want that. I want something that's deep that takes an entire book to get to.
Yeah, slow burn.
Slow burn, like
Love
the slowest burn you could give me, and I'm there.
I mean, heck, at this point, Casey, maybe you and I should buddy read Emily Henry and see what we think.
We talked about Emily Henry a few days ago, and we didn't mention buddy reading, but we did talk about her.
We did. I mean, eventually you're going to have to read a book again. So
eventually I'm going to, so we might as well.
Yeah, we might as well.
We might as well. But you can't forget, we have other buddy reads that we have to get to. We still have to read Empire of the Vampire as well with some other people. Whenever we get to that. I remembered that. I can't believe I remembered that.
I'm going to bounce off that book so hard. I'm just telling y'all right now. I have a friend who's reading it right now, and he's just like, Tori, you're going to hate this book.
Oh,
like,
no.
Yeah, I kind of figured that.
Oh, no.
I'm going to try
Emily
it.
Henry first. We'll try to get something
I know,
that we
dearie.
like,
I'm so sorry. I'm happy for you.
We might surprise ourselves. You never know. Give it a chance.
It might.
Maybe.
A book that would make an amazing adaptation.
Oh, Red Rising.
Yeah.
100%.
Like,
Red Rising.
I
need to see.
They do it wrong.
I need to see live action of that. I just do.
It would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You get to jump into the life of any character. Who do you pick?
Girl, do you know how many tragic stories I read? Oh boy. I get to jump into the life of any character. I know this might sound a little weird because of the I read broken characters. Kaladin. I want to fly. I want to be able to fly. I want to be able to use Stormlight. I want that. And
well, you would also have Sylphrena in your life. Which makes that even better.
Kaladin.
So
literally flying since I was maybe 6 years old. If anybody ever asked me what was your one wish in life, fly. To be the fly.
That would be really cool.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know who I would pick, honestly. I'm trying to think through that now, and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, honestly, yeah, because I'd be a way better best friend. Just saying.
Yeah. Like, I will show you how to be a good friend to Sunho.
Yep. Younger me, I mean, an easy answer for me is Celine from Underworld. That's such an easy answer. She's so cool.
Yes. Yeah,
and her super, she's still normal, but she has the super strength, and she's, really, she just knows a lot of stuff. And I feel like,
I mean, she's a badass.
She wouldn't be as scatterbrained as I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's a good choice.
Daniel, love that answer.
The Lord ruler. Woof.
That's fair. Let's see. I'd be obligated to pick someone who could teleport. That would be really cool, though.
Oh, yes, that is a good one.
That would be awesome. I would love to teleport. That would be amazing.
Do I ever even have any books?
Zin, I have no idea, but that is a skill. That is a skill. I would also change her outfit slightly if I was Celine.
Just peel it right off and then peel it right on.
No.
That just gives me the ick thinking about it.
Right?
Sensory, no.
It looks awesome. That's about it. Fits, but only for the first half of Rules Aaron that I'm out of there so fast. Love that. Deary Zamar, you need help and a lot of hugs. Okay. What is a book that has been on your TBR for ages that you're like, how have I not gotten to this yet?
Oh boy. Just one? How?
Your bookshelves?
My bookshelves. That has been on my TBR for ages. Oh boy. All of L.E. Modesset Jr., his Imager Chronicles. I have the whole series. I have them all in hardcover. And I've been wanting to read them since childhood. Since 4
That's a long time.
Years. And I've not read a single one of them. They're behind the chair.
Good choice.
Yeah, but I have all of them. And I want to, but other stuff.
K-dramas. Yeah. I know, Derry. That is probably the meanest question on this list, to be honest.
I was like, just any book on any shelf here because I have a book collecting problem as well as a book reading problem.
I don't know what that would be like, honestly. Okay. Fictional crush. I know that's a long list. Pick one.
It is a long list. It's a very long list. Fictional crush. See, this is the ADHD portion. I have all these answers in the back of my brain. Pulling them from the back of my brain to the front of my brain takes way longer than a rapid fire requires. Fictional crush.
Good answer, Britton. Very good answer.
I haven't read that yet, but I can understand.
That's clearly Casey's question also, Derry.
Exactly. Yeah. How many am I allowed? Because I could say Daughter of the Forest again, but I don't want to reuse that same one. Bloodstones. Why can't I remember his name? Tori, don't hate me.
The older one? Zario?
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
I mean,
I adore him.
He's pretty awesome.
So, I mean, I adore all the boys. I adore all the boys so much, but I just want him to be happy. I need him to be happy. Just kidding. And I need him to be loved. And I need him to have a hug and maybe another hug. And I just please make him happy. Please. Okay. After all the torture happens, please make him happy.
Yeah. You know what is funny though, because when I wrote the book, Zario wasn't even going to be a POV at first. He was a side character. And then a friend of mine was like, I really like Zario in this first chapter. Like, what would you should write a chapter from his POV? So I was like, okay, I'll write one just for her. And now he's a POV in the series, and he absolutely should be. So
I need you to send that friend a massive thank you and hug from me, because I appreciate the work that she's done for all of us to make that happen.
Zario has turned out to be a bit of a heartthrob. It's been funny to watch.
I just adore him. I mean, I love Rue probably the most. He's my favorite, but I just need Zario to be happy, and I just want to hug him.
Yeah. I think there's something about like a really pure-hearted soldier character that's really endearing, where you know that he could like kill you instantly with a spear, but also he's a good person.
There's definitely something different about the good people who are just good people. No one's forcing them to be a good person. No one's forcing them to make the good decisions, the right decisions. That's just inherently who they are morally. And if they also can handle, war, then hey, it's another positive. So.
Bonus. Zamar, I completely agree with you on this one. Mariko from Shogun, which you've not read.
I've not read yet. I just purchased that hardcover when we went shopping.
Mariko?
No. Was it after? No. Did I purchase it when we went, or did I buy it after?
I might have bought it after.
I did buy it when we went, because we looked at it and it was a spur of the moment decision, and I had zero thoughts, and I just grabbed it and I took it and ran.
It's so good. Yep. It's so good. Mariko is one of the best female characters I've read in like the last few years. Easily one of the top like 3, probably. She's amazing. So totally feel that one, Zamar. Modeset is kind of weird. His series always are non-chronological. He almost always starts at the end of a timeline, then goes back and writes stuff hundreds of years in the past. Interesting.
I like that actually. That excites me.
Austin Ard is yours. Nice. Tad Williams, and most of the stuff I really want to read. That's goals, honestly. I'm impressed. Hey, Wizard, what's up? Okay. Worst fictional villain.
Worst as in?
Just like anybody else, like you would run across anybody else but this character.
So worst as in like most evil?
Yeah.
Most evil. Not like
however you would define
developed.
Or, no.
Like, is he really a villain, or are we actually? Yeah. Worst villain.
Like most evil.
Most evil villain. Oh boy. See, the one I'm thinking of is not a book. It's a movie. He always comes to mind. Can I use a movie?
Yeah. You can do whatever you want.
Mission Impossible 3. Philip Seymour Hoffman's character.
Oh.
And the main reason why I first watched it years ago, obviously, because it's relatively really old now. And he has always stuck with me because he is a character who has all the conviction in the world to do anything that he needs to do to get what he wants. And that's terrifying to me. When you have a person who is willing to do absolutely anything, no matter how deplorable or depraved, to get what they want, and you have no clue what their next move is going to be. That is fear to me. That's villainy to me. And having a mustache twirly person who's like, I'm just the bad guy because I want to rule the world, I don't find that scary. I find a real life person who you have zero clue what they're going to do. They could slit your throat one minute, or turn around and just walk away and have ice cream the next minute. that's terrifying to me. So he's always stuck in the back of my mind anytime anyone asks about villains. Philip Seymour Hoffman in Mission Impossible 3. I think it's Philip Seymour Hoffman. I think that's the actor's name. I think that's the actor's name.
I can, based on the, like, I can imagine him playing a character like that very, very well. Yeah. Derry's got some fictional crushes. Burrich is awesome.
Burrich is the best dad in fantasy. I will die in the hill. I will die on that hill. He is the best father figure in fantasy. I love him a normal amount.
That's one of our mottos when we're talking about K-dramas. I love that, a normal amount, because we're trying to contain the excitement. I love Burrich the normal amount. That's fair. Mm-hmm. See, you know what's funny about this is the character that everybody mentions, but I'm not going to say who I'm thinking of because you guys know. But Kyle doesn't scare me nearly as much as the other one. So just saying, because Kyle wouldn't get to me. I'm not afraid of Kyle. Like, he's awful. I totally get it, but it's like annoying, irritating versus evil and scary. He's very evil and manipulative, but he's very, like, you can see it coming a mile away. Yeah. The other one, not so much. Yeah. So, definitely Sauron for sure. Worst villain ever. Terrifying. Yep. For sure. Kyle is pretty awful. Like, I totally get it. Also, Dolores Umbridge is a fantastic answer. I've literally only read that book twice in my entire life because I cannot stand her. I cannot. I only the gaslighting. Oh yeah, I cannot stand her. Kills me. Hello. How's it going? Judge Holden from Blood Meridian. I have only read The Road by McCarthy. That's the only one I've read. I still need to read that. You have a new fan. I love you too. Yeah, exactly, Derry. Like, I absolutely hated Kyle as well, but like, in terms of me being actually afraid of somebody, if I was in that world, it would be the other character I can't mention because apparently that's a spoiler. So no, I don't think I would either, Britton. I think it would be very hard for me to read, honestly, because of the structure. Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men. I want to see that. I can't remember if I've seen that or not. I feel like I have, but maybe I haven't. It's been a while if I have. That's called ADHD. I might have, yeah. Okay, you answered this question before the live because I gave you one freebie. And I freaked out. You have one character who is going to come cook for you, who's making your dinner. And I cheated, and I said, That was a great answer. I will have the Capitol from the Hunger Games cook for me because they can be a character, and I want their food. They can cook for me. Yeah, be servants. And I took like a good 5 minutes to answer that question before because I had no idea what to say. So I got a little scared. Blood Meridian doesn't have punctuation, and my eye just twitches. You know, that is one. To be fair, though, that's one of the reasons why I prefer the audiobooks of Pratchett novels, because I have this weird thing where, like, please give me a chapter. And now, Pratchett doesn't do chapters. Is it all punctuation, or is it just like the quotation marks? Because I've read books with no quotation marks, and that changes the whole feel of how that story's being told, which I find fascinating. But is it all punctuation, like commas and periods and all that is not there, or is it? I'm not sure. Chat, who's read Blood Meridian, is it like all punctuation is gone, or just certain things? Because I thought it was all, but I might be totally wrong. Because that's really interesting if it's all. If it's just like the quotation marks of when people are speaking, I didn't ever realize before actually reading a story that doesn't use quotation marks, but like that entire feel of who's telling it to whom, how it's being told, and what's happening completely changes with no quotation marks. But there were still periods and commas and everything else. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. That kind of makes my eye twitch a little bit too, Zen. I'm not going to lie. Like, hey, I'm all for like stylistic writing choices. I think that's awesome because I think that too often we get too boxed into formulas with writing. So like, I don't know if I could personally handle it, but hey, shout out for doing it anyways, I guess. Scariest villains are the ones that can't be bargained with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For cooking, I'm assuming we're talking with Polgara from the Bulgariad. This is also a fantastic answer. Jean Tannen from Gentlemen Bastards. Yep. That would be a good one. Gray Boy from Worm is terrifying. He puts you in a never-ending time loop that will last until the heat death of the universe, and he'll do something like stab you right before looping you. Ooh.
Oh.
That's awful.
Huh.
Rock
okay, that's a great answer.
That's also a great answer.
That's a great answer.
Yep.
Not to mention, Rock would just be so much fun to hang out with.
He would be.
He would be so much fun to get drunk with, I tell you right now.
Well, speaking of which, one of my questions was literally a character you'd take out for drinks. For me, hands down, Victra from Red Rising.
Yeah.
Going out for drinks with Victra would be amazing.
I'm really glad you said Rock, because I would have been like, oh, freaking no. But now thinking about it, he would be a blast to get drunk with.
For sure. There's quite a few of them out there. I think it really depends on like what type of person scares you the most in reality, and then just like amplify that. And there's your scariest villain. Right. I think you're right, Britton. Jean is just an amazing character to begin with, so I'm sure he's also good at cooking. Okay. What character are you very confident you could beat in hand-to-hand combat?
Oh, boy. Every romantasy female main character. Every single one of them, does not matter if they're a strong female character or not. But specifically, let's see, no one from Stormlight. I would get my butt beat. I
don't know. I think Elakar would be an easy takedown.
Okay. You have a point there. That boy is absolutely hopeless. Who could I be in a hand-to-hand combat? I mean, is it just hand-to-hand, or do I get a knife? Because you already have a little bit of knowledge of what with knives. So
I felt very well protected at our girls' weekend for sure.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I love this answer. That's a good one. Grima Wormtongue. Yes.
That is a fantastic answer. And I would take pleasure in it as well. It wouldn't just be to do it. It would be pleasurable. I'm not sure what that says about me, actually, just saying that right now.
That
but
you hate horrible characters.
Yeah.
Which is fair.
Yeah. That kind of made me a little nervous about myself, but
Victor's amazing. I would not beat Victra in hand-to-hand combat. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, we're just going to say every romantasy female lead character, because I think that wraps that one up.
That's fair.
Feyre. I would decimate Feyre.
Love that for you. I'll cheer you on.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of really BA characters, so like there's not very many that we could confidently beat in hand-to-hand combat, because like I like actually strong characters.
I always cheat with this question, because I pick a character that I know that I could like manipulate into instead of so like
it's okay. You have to bend the rules. Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Carrot from the City Watch Pratchett books, because he's terrifying, like could beat me no problem, but I know that I could like
mess with his brain a little bit. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I will get to that come
and I love
July.
him.
So
you're gonna
I told you. Remember, I told you I have my audiobook credit that's coming in.
That's right. I'm so excited. Thank you for reminding me about that.
You're welcome.
This is
I'll remind you again.
I appreciate that. Yeah. This is the great part about having ADHD friends, you guys, is that when one of you is like, wait, we had that conversation, the other one's just like, yep, and this is what we decided. Okay, great.
Yep.
Right. So I would just have to convince him I'm not a criminal, and then we'd be good.
There you go.
Take lessons from Blackie's Carowin. That's a cool answer.
Yes. Carowin's I don't want to swear. She's awesome.
Yeah. I would also love to, well, this is a whole new question. Like, who would we take fighting lessons from? And I'm like, oh, man.
I would take fighting lessons from Caden from Lycanius from James Islington, because I can't say because of spoilers, but there is time involved.
Also agree with that, then.
So I would take Caden.
There's so many good answers for that. I don't know.
What's oh my gosh, Song of the Beast. Lisa.
Oh my gosh, I just read it. Hold on.
I know. I also just read it because I did listen to it.
I'm gonna go to the epilogue. Hold on. Laura, there we go.
Very close.
We are so close.
Yep. Because I imagine she's a complete and utter tank.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cassius is a great answer. Jamie Lannister is a great answer. We love Cassius. I don't know. If I had to pick somebody from Red Rising, I don't know. I think my fighting style would be more like Darrow, because I just don't have the patience that Cassius has. I'm too much of a tank, like, in everything that I have ever played to have that much patience.
Barbarian badge displayed proudly.
Yep, proudly. It was really funny because I had this conversation with some friends of mine today, actually, and we were talking about the characters we'd play if we were like a D&D group. And my one friend was like, but Tori, like, if you can learn to sneak and then nobody knows you were there. And I was like, yeah, but if everyone's dead, they don't know you were there either. Like, I don't know.
I like that option even more.
It's a lot easier.
I don't have to learn something. I just have to do it.
You're right. Laura from Dresden.
I still have to get through the rest of my Dresden files.
How far are you into it?
I am on Ghost Story, so 13 out of 17 right now, but I also did every single piece of it. So I started at the beginning, and I went chronologically, not publication, but chronologically, with books, short stories, novellas, novelettes, microfiction, graphic novels, and everything. So I am on book 13, but truly it's been like 40 some pieces that I've gotten through of it. So it's been a trip, but
I didn't even know there were anything besides the books,
there's
to be honest.
Everything. Like, he has a whole bunch of microfictions on his website you can print out for free. There's the novellas that are printed by Sub Press. There's the novelettes that he has a part of, the short stories he has the books of, and then the actual novels. And then he's got 6 graphic novels, I think there are now. Just the separate stories, not the graphic novels based on the novels, which I didn't read those because I'm already reading the novels. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. And it got a little overwhelming. And then, like, Raja passed in the middle of all that. And I was doing a vlog, and going back and editing those videos was like, I can't do this because
too much.
He was in a lot of those clips. So I just kind of paused for a bit, but
that's fair. Was that the last video you were planning on? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the last video I was planning on doing, and I just kind of scrapped that because emotions.
That's fair. That is absolutely fair.
Emotions.
Derry,
is fantastic.
Your rereading game is just legendary.
That is impressive. That is so impressive because there's so many books.
Read about a guy who made a rogue orc with 0 stealth skills. He put his stats into intimidation, and every time he failed a stealth check, he'd just yell, "You don't see me," and roll to intimidate. Love that. Yep.
There's so many cool things that can be done in D&D. I wish I was that clever.
I have never played D&D in my life, and I really want to. I feel like designing a character and playing with a group of friends would just be an absolute blast.
Yeah, I played it a couple times and it never went anywhere, but like it can be just so much fun if you get the right people.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Zin, remind me who the Queen of Air and Darkness is. Who's the Queen of Air and
Darkness? I'm assuming it's a Dresden thing but it could be something else that
I don't know.
Realize.
Going back to my list and figuring out where I was at. Okay, your house is burning. What book or series do you grab?
Tori, you cannot do this to me. You can't do this to me. This whole case that you can't see, but it's a whole case. It's 6 of those shelves is stuffed full of special editions and or signed and or like behind you is a whole Civil War cabinet full of all my Sanderson leather bounds. Up to the top right here, we have Malazan, both different series, trade paperback. You can't do this to me.
Well, the way I look at it as like one of the ones that I know I would grab for sure is my Howler edition of Red Rising that's signed to me, because like out of all of the things that I have, that one's probably the least replaceable, you know? That's fair, Daniel. The expensive leather in books. Yep.
I mean, that's kind of where I'm leading, because like my house just burned down. I got to sell something to make some money back to recoup. So I'm probably going to agree. I'm probably going to go with the whole cabinet behind y'all, which is all the leather bounds, the Kickstarter and everything out so far, because I have spending issues and collecting issues and I have to finish things, which means I need all of it. Oh, that hurts. That hurts because that means I'm leaving.
So, Casey,
Daughter of the Forest.
About this is you don't actually have to like.
I know, but
it's a hypothetical, Casey. It's a hypothetical.
Oh, the leather bounds, because
that's fair.
Yeah.
Because you're going to need money to restart.
Exactly. They're all going to be sold. Exactly.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, Mab from Dresden Files.
I thought it was a Dresden thing, but I didn't want to say for sure if it wasn't.
American Gods. Nice. You know, I do have a giant stack of books that I'm unhauling, so if you show up, I can send you home with some stuff. Had this when I got out of my last relationship. I could only grab a few. Farseer, Song of Ice and Fire, Daughter of the Empire. I mean, that's a solid, that's a solid canon of books. This is also a good point, Zen.
That is a good point.
Yeah.
That is a really good point. I had to make multiple trips because your girl's got muscle, but like
those are also, yeah.
There's also a lot of books in this cabinet behind y'all. So
50th anniversary Lord of the Ring hardcover. Wow.
I have the 50th anniversary Hobbit hardcover.
Is that the gold one?
Mm-hmm.
I have that one too.
Yep. Found it at a used bookstore for like $20.
Yeah, mine was at a flea market at a Catholic church.
Nice. Yeah, it's a random place.
Yeah, I know. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I want that. That was years ago.
Right. Yes, exactly, Daniel.
Yep.
I'm not gonna be able to keep it.
Oh yeah, you have that beautiful set. I have the Tawny Man in the UK editions with the gilt covers, but I'm slowly.
I would love to own the subpress version of what they've released so far of Robin Hobb, but like
subpress prices are just nuts.
They have gotten much. I scored the second printing of Gardens of the Moon when it came out.
There's a third printing now.
There's a third printing, and I got out of that whole thing before they came out with the third printing, because right now it's just a cluster figuring out where rights are going, who's got them, third printing, second printing, all that stuff. And I just didn't want to be locked in for 10 years trying to figure everything out. And I said, you know what? I have a bathroom to remodel at the beginning of this next year. I'm just going to sell and I'm going to stick. And then it was just like a month later that Broken Binding said, we're coming out with Malazan. And I went, perfect. Broken Binding. Tier 1 subscription. I get first access. We're doing that. I'll sell this one and get rid of it. So that's what I ended up doing.
I'm going to try really hard to resist the Malazan broken binding books. I'm going to try really, really hard.
So would you like me to not enable you, or would you like me to enable you? Because
Casey, I have to print books this year. I have to like publish things, and I need money for that.
I will be a good friend, and I will not enable you, and I will not talk about it at all.
I appreciate your dedication. I really do. That's the hard part, because if I was just like booktubing with my channel, 100%. But I'm like, that's, if I get the entire Malazan series, that's like almost half of a publishing budget for me.
It's, I mean, to be fair, it's a lot cheaper than the sub press is, but it is still a good chunk of change. And if you're like, I've been saving up for a bit, because I've known about it for, since they first announced it, but still I've been saving up for a bit to prepare. So
yep. I know. I am always amazed at, like, I have found some really incredible deals different places. My hardcovers of the Sun Eater series were like $12 a piece at a half price books that had no idea what they had before they did the reprint. The Hobbit version, like my last two Rurouni Kenshin omnibus editions, were $10 each, and those are $90 volumes that are out of print. So like, sometimes people, and I really, I really appreciate those people a lot.
Yeah,
I really do.
I found my entire Malazan trade paperback set at one of my local used bookstores. I go in every now and then. It's a little drive away, so I don't go there very often. And I happened to see a cart that was in the middle of one of the aisles to put stuff out on the shelves, and it had half the series. And I went, these are mine. And she goes, oh, I have the rest of them in the back. I said, those are mine too. Go get them, because I'm buying them. And I bought them for $4 each. And the only one I needed was Memories of Ice, because of course it's the most rare one that you can find. And of course, I obviously paid a little bit more for that one, but I waited to find a deal on eBay, which is why I said save those searches on eBay, because it popped up and I snagged that one so fast because it was half the price of everything else being posted. But to find Malazan, the entire trade book club, well, no, I found not the trade paperback, I found the book club hardcover editions.
Oh, that's right.
At the store. The trade paperbacks I got myself, and I got them for $4 each. I could not believe it. I could not believe it. Someone had passed away, and their entire collection was just given to the bookstore. And I just happened to get lucky enough to be there at the right time.
I kind of love that idea of someone who like really loved a certain fantasy series or whatever, passing it on and making it like a huge, cool find for the next person who's a fan of it. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Think about digital books. Yeah, I mean, if you grab your Kindle, you're gonna have a lot more books to read.
Oh, but believe me, I'm grabbing my Kindle too. It'll be in my pocket as I take a handful of books out.
Did it all on Kindle. Yeah. I mean, I did try. I have the trade paperbacks, the UK editions now, which are a little bit shorter than the US editions, which doesn't really bother me that much. But I've read all of the Hob I've read so far in mass market paperback. And Hob is actually lends really well to mass market paperback, I feel like, because she reads very quickly.
I agree.
So yeah, I didn't mind that at all.
And her paperbacks, at least the ones that I have, which are the covers that, like, I guess a lot of people don't like, they're really easy to handle. I mean, they're not like the thick chunkers like Stormlight that you can't even bend open to read the inside crease. And it just, they're not that at all. They're very, very easy to read. Yeah,
I love this plan. Once Broken Binding releases their Malazan editions, they're all going in. Well, would you put them in a like something not so heavy though? Because if it's an iron chest, how are you going to throw it out the window?
Tossing that quickly might be a problem.
It might be hard. Yeah.
Maybe think wooden chest.
That's the hardest part, Zen, is when like your favorite covers of something are just completely out of print and not available anymore. Someday I want to own the sub press edition, not of all of the books, but I want the Dead House Gates edition from sub press because those of you that have read it know why. The front cover is just insane. Yes. You know, this is something that my writer friends should be yelling at me constantly, Ryan, to be honest. So I appreciate that. I will probably write tonight after the live stream, if that makes you feel better. Also, why aren't you writing?
No.
Just saying.
There's a twist.
I mean, this is the indie community, though. Like, we're just constantly like yelling at each other to write more. So
it's fantastic. I love it.
It's great. The broken binding of Perdido Street Station is quite lovely. I feel that. You guys are awesome. I always have such a hard time keeping up with the chat. Fair. Hey, leverage what you got, you know? Okay. So you decided the character that you were going to take out for drinks was Rock from Stormlight.
Yes.
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 Is there anyone else you want to bring with you? I feel like you, Rock, and Syl would have a great time.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm already Kaladin. I took his place in Stormlight, so I have Syl.
So now Kaladin is way more like just more of a fun time to begin with.
Absolutely.
Thanks for that.
I mean, I like my tragic voice, so yes. I'm completely fine with Kaladin as well. I almost said something really bad, but we're gonna skip that. No, we'll just go with Rock for now.
Okay, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with Victra, to be honest. I just think that would be a blast.
Yeah.
And we could talk about you,
I agree.
Yeah.
For me, not so much. For you, I agree.
Oh. You know what? Yeah.
Laughs in not writing.
My brain immediately did the like. Okay, what is a character this is the last one I have. What is a character that you want to adopt?
Oh, Rue.
Okay.
I mean, I know I've already used Bloodstones, but like if we're doing rapid fire,
this is Rue. I will not be offended if you use Bloodstones multiple times.
I cannot even express how much I love him. I don't know why, because he doesn't have too much. Well, I know exactly why, but he doesn't have very much screen time because there's a lot happening in book 1, as you know, you were there.
I was, yeah,
for most of it,
from what I remember.
Yeah, but I absolutely adore every ounce of that child, and I want him to be safe, and I want him to be with me where I can protect him and show him love, because he needs to be shown love, and I need more of him. Please write more of him.
Yes, ma'am. I can tell you right now that he will be in, like, I will intentionally find more scenes for him because you love him so much. I'm like, okay, where can I put Rue in here?
Yeah, and Derry's comment of wanting to adopt Fitz very much falls in line with Rue as well, because there's just that like tragic. I have a thing about the tragic boys, and I want to just make them all safe and happy and loved, and Fitz definitely falls in that category. But my first thought in my addled brain was Rue, because I just love him.
I can drop some papers. I'm not doing a very good job at the minute.
I just love him so much.
That doesn't have to be from a book.
No, we use movies.
From Ergo Proxy must be nice. There's so many cinnamon roll characters that I love, honestly. I already said Myron from Ryuria. He is just precious.
But also Hui's sister. I don't remember her name.
Yan. From My Country.
I need her to be safe and protected at all costs, because
she's delightful.
If there is any character that is the epitome and physical portrayal of innocence, it is her.
100%.
And I need her to be okay.
Yeah. I already said Carrot too. I'm 100% adopting Carrot.
I know. I was thinking of him. I was thinking of him for your answer.
Yeah. I mean, Carrot. Let's be real.
Aiden. You said it to me before that you wanted.
Yeah, I would adopt Aiden, because he's also a bean. I don't know. Yeah. I'll go with that. Yeah. Also, Tool from Malazan. As weird as that might sound, I think that would be a great time. And yeah. Haya from the Bloodstones would be my pick. If I had to pick one of the Bloodstones characters, I would adopt him.
Also a good pick of someone who needs to be loved.
Yeah, he does.
They all just need to be loved. They all just need a mom to just bring them all in and just group hug. Just
and hug make them dinner.
Make them dinner and just let them be boys.
Yes. Oh gosh, don't even get me started, Ryan.
Okay.
I can't watch that part of Full Metal anymore. I watched it once when I was in college, and then I had children, and I can't do that anymore.
Okay, but there was a meme that I saw, and
I'm pretty sure I've also seen it.
If anybody has seen Dragon Ball Z and knows of fusion, there was a meme, and I both laughed so hard and cried because it's just so, oh no. But yes, I also agree there because
that's one of the worst things I've ever seen ever. Just yeah.
That will literally never die. It will never die.
The weird children from Black Leopard, Red Wolf. What can I say? I have an affinity for broken, crippled thing. You're in good company,
Me too.
Honestly, Britain. Yeah,
me too. It's my favorite.
Gray
I like
Frog
it when people
from
suffer.
Yes.
I want my characters to suffer.
But also you want to adapt them and make it all better.
I do. I want to adapt them and make it all better, but I also want them to suffer because and my best friend Megan knows about this too, and Tori, you know this already too, but I need realism, but in the idea of if a character experiences something, goes through something, whether it's emotional, physical, mental, whatever, I need that to affect them. And I don't. That sometimes comes across as weird because maybe people are like, well, you like watching people suffer. No, but I like watching realistic things happen. And if something happens physically or mentally or emotionally to a character, I need that to last and to matter to the rest of the story and the rest of the character and their development. And if it is just something that is blown off as this thing that happens in the moment for shock value or drama's sake for the moment, that's great for that moment. But what about what that means for the rest of the character's journey? Because in the real world, that matters. And I need it to matter. And so if it doesn't matter, that is one of the easiest ways to take me right out of a story, especially if you want me to get involved with a traumatized character. Make it not matter. And I'm done.
Yeah, I totally agree. You can't grow if there's no change. Yep.
Right.
So, Derry, if I have to pick a Hob character that I'm going to adopt immediately, it's Paragon. So, just saying. See, but for me, Zin, that is very different than what I like to read. Yeah. I like to read characters who have been through horrible, awful things and are still fighting for something and still trying to find a purpose or still doing something good or still trying to hang on to relationships or like I don't want it to just be nihilism where it's just like everything sucks all the time, no matter what, the end. But yeah, because I've read a couple of books that fit 100% into the misery porn category. And like most of my favorites, I wouldn't say do because I want to see them fighting through it.
The nuance is there. If you're looking for it, the nuance is there if it's written well and if it's done well. But like if you're just doing the torture for torture's sake and that character's not growing or the story is not moving, the plot is not developing, or there's no arc involved, it is just misery porn. It is just that it's just there. It's there for that shock. And I don't want that. I want to see that growth and that development. And that's what is important to me. And that's what makes the most impact for me when it comes to the terrible things that can happen to people.
I think that's a perfectly fine way to alternately state the characters you want to adopt. If you don't want to adopt them, just give them a hug.
Just a group hug. I want to just give group hugs to all of my tortured boys.
Amen, Derry. Trauma is real and lasts and can come back later. Yeah, and that's the thing I think is so many books, because books are told almost, well, the typical book structure is a linear story that goes from event to event to event to the end, you know. I think a lot of times that authors try to fit trauma in that same kind of linear progression. And that's why it often feels unreal, because for most people, and I obviously can't speak for everyone, but for most people that I've researched, observed, etc., you're not going to have, there's probably going to be the exceptions, but there's not, linear healing is such a, like, it's kind of a fallacy.
Yeah. It's an expectation that people have and they want to believe is real, but it's just not.
We like when things are linear and make sense and straightforward. Yeah. It's a, like, you know, because that's safer and it's more predictable.
And we can expect it, right? It's predictable in that expectation. So we know what to expect. We know where we're going, and nothing's going to blindside us. Nothing's going to shock us, and nothing's going to take us by surprise. And then we got to deal with stuff that we're not ready to deal with. And that's just not, it's not realistic. And I, as someone who has gone through trauma in my past, I want to read about it. I want to experience other people trying to get through it and heal from it. To both help myself, but also to understand myself and understand how to then talk to others, handle others, experience other people's their own experiences in trauma that I've not had myself. Right. And trauma is trauma, but trauma is different.
Right.
And I'm an empath, so I prefer to be devil's advocate in a lot of areas too, but I want to understand. I may explain and try to understand, and sometimes that comes across as accepting bad behavior or accepting of other things. It's not. I want to understand. Yeah. And that stories like this, they help me to understand other trauma as well as my own, and how I can go about potential healing, but also helping others go about a potential healing as well. And when it's done right, and it's done well. When it's not, cringe.
Yep. Absolutely. I totally agree with everything you just said.
Awesome. That's why we're friends.
Right? Zin, this might be my favorite comment of the evening. So for anyone who doesn't know, Paragon is a ship.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why that comment is funny. Paragon is a ship with trauma.
That is amazing.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That's amazing.
If you like, for anybody who has watched or heard me talk about my Ship of Magic experience, Paragon was hands down the best part of that book for me. Like, I just wanted an entire trilogy just about Paragon.
I got to get to that part. I got to finish my current read and get to Ship of Magic.
What are you reading right now?
I'm on Assassin's Quest. So I'm
that's right.
a third of that first trilogy. And hopefully I'll finish that on vacation this year, because that was the book I started on vacation last year, and I haven't touched it since. So apparently it's my vacation book. So hopefully in July.
Let's see. Honestly,
we'll adopt you. It's
sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Consider yourself adopted.
This is a communal adoption center right here.
I feel like BookTube kind of that's sort of the BookTube experience, is that like we're all coming into this space. Most of us have been nerds our entire life and don't really fit in anywhere else, and we just are adopted into the space, and it's pretty great.
Yeah. The whole black sheep thing. Yeah, it's most of us. We understand.
Hi.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Others are really good at putting words to things that are hard to put to. You know, and this is something for me that, like, this is why writing means so much to me, because growing up and dealing with a lot of really hard things in my childhood, I started writing and telling stories, even with my like figurines and toys at a very young age. I used to tell huge epic fantasy style stories when I was really little. And it became a way that it was like the safe way for me to express myself, or to explore things, or to like dissociate from myself into what a character was going through in a way that helped me learn empathy and emotions. And like so much of my emotional development as a kid, I chalk up to the books I was reading, to be honest. And that's why, like, I hope that I can create those spaces for other people to come in and explore and just say, like, whether they want to escape or relate or whatever, like, that's creating that space for people is a really powerful thing. And it's honestly a huge responsibility, and it's also very rewarding. So
And piggybacking off of that, Ryan, is authors are really good at putting words into things that are hard to put words to. It's also the words that aren't spoken. And many times in real life too, there are things that happen where words are not spoken, and that can lead to miscommunication tropes that we see all the time. But when things are done, and there's a part in, I'm gonna go back to Bloodstones. There's a part in Bloodstones. Tori knows exactly what I'm talking about, and it's why I love Rue so much. There is a small, tiny little scene that happens. Not a single word is said. The characters do not communicate with each other verbally at all. But there is something that happens between two characters that immediately speaks volumes to where they've both been, where they've both come from, and who they both are now, and who they are to each other. And I text Tori immediately, or I commented in Discord immediately. I was like, did you do this on purpose? Is this something, or am I just seeing something that's, she goes, no, you said, no, I meant that. And I went, okay, because I got it and I love it so much.
Well, that's because like the characters it's so important to utilize, dialogue is a very important thing, but it's also important that the actions of the characters also speak. And I think sometimes we can kind of forget about them in our attempt to focus, like, I gotta write good dialogue, right? Which is, dialogue can be really tricky, but it's the small gestures and it's the actions that either match or don't match what a character is saying, or the things that they do when they're not speaking. Like, those are all really important language pieces too. And they matter. And the gesture that you're talking about with Rue, would any of the other boys have done that? I don't know. Probably not. Because, but that's what Rue did. And it sets him apart a little ways. And especially when you have a motley crew of characters who are all the same age and all the same gender, you have to find ways to set them apart from each other.
Right.
So. And
I think, like you said, that verbal and then the nonverbal is just as important. And the author's ability to do that is, I love it so much. And 100% consuming stories. I personally have the opinion that the lack of empathy in our overall society and culture is a direct result of the lack of reading that we're seeing in a lot of young people coming up in now, and not being able to experience another person's experience and story outside of your own bubble. Right. It is so important to experience other things outside of your own bubble. I don't care how uncomfortable it makes you. I don't care how hard it is for you to read someone else's experience. It is someone else's experience, and it should be respected, and it should be at least the attempt to understand it. And the fact that that society nowadays is so scared of trying to connect with and understanding someone else's experience different from themselves is just, it's scary in one aspect, but it makes my empathic heart hurt because I'm in no way trying to toot my own horn in any way, shape, or form, but my first thought in any situation and scenario is someone else, is who else am I with? Other people. And what I can do to try to make them more comfortable, to make them whatever. And that's obviously a detriment to me sometimes. And that's something that I have to work on for myself. But being able to at least understand and try to put yourself in someone else's position, you don't have to agree with it. You don't have to fully understand it. But that's what connects us all. And reading is what starts that process and being able to experience those stories. And it's so important. And I'm on a soapbox and I'm going to step down.
I love it. Go ahead. Channel takeover.
I'm finished my drink and it is
hey, but it's true. And this is one of the things that I love about Motley Crew chats is that we always talk about bookish stuff and what we're reading and our favorites, but I love that it almost always diverts somehow into the deeper meanings of why we read and what it has meant to us and how it has changed us as people. That's so important. And one of my mottos, and I think I shared this on Brian Belltube's For Whom the Bell Tolls episode that I was on. He asked me to do a one for the road. And the one that I shared, which is one that I keep going back to, is disagreement doesn't equal disrespect.
Mm-hmm.
You can not agree with anything another person is doing or saying, but that doesn't, like, people have forgotten the art of how to be kind and respectful to people that aren't the same as you, who look at the world very differently than you do for whatever reason. And the other one that I added to that was that everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about.
Right.
Because that's also true. We only get tiny snippets into people's lives and we don't know what led them to that point.
Right.
Most of the time, unless it's somebody we're closer to. But even then, you know, like, I know you really well, but I wasn't there for how many years of your life. So I didn't like see it, you know?
Yeah.
So,
and we've had a ton of conversations. Like, we know a lot about each other's lives already, just for knowing each other for
kind
like
of
7
scary,
months.
To be honest.
It is kind of scary. We've had that conversation before too, of how actually it is kind of scary. But it's just like, you don't know, kindness goes such a long way, and being able to experience other stories of other people, even if they're fictitious, is something that makes me, and this is, I don't know, sounds kind of corny, but it makes me want to be a better person. I want to be someone who is safe to talk to. I want to be someone who is understanding and is not going to react, but is going to absorb and listen. And books have helped me do that. Characters in books have helped me do that, in movies and whatnot. I just think it's so important, and we've lost a lot of that with this drop in reading that we've had. So seeing communities like this evolve and grow, and then the indie sphere come up where people can be more active in this space versus being so separate with trad publishing and all that's involved, is really encouraging to see. And I absolutely love it. And it was just 5 years ago that it almost didn't exist for the most part. And here we all are today, which is fantastic. And I love it.
Well, and it's a beautiful thing because it's an immediate common ground. We have an immediate, we love stories.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start there. Because I guarantee you that is not the only common ground you will find.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
I mean, I couldn't stand the book, but I completely agree with Paragon. Paragon was an incredible character, and I will, if and when I finish the Live Ship Traders, it will be because of Paragon, period. So, just saying. Who is Ichiro Oda? Oda. Got it.
Piece,
One Piece. Yep. Took me a minute.
So I've actually never seen anybody say the name out fully. It's always just Oda. That's
Oda. Yeah. Funny. I love this. Get in, nerd. We're going adopting. Yep. Me with like every fantasy book.
Absolutely.
BookTube is my tribe. I'm Bloody 50, and it took me a long time. And we're so glad you're here, Derry.
You are. There's no age to where it's unacceptable to find your tribe.
Nope.
No age. Yeah, it's a little sad for us individually. We're like, I wish I would have found this tribe. Wish I could have found this tribe sooner. But there is no age where it's unacceptable. Find your inner child and run with her.
I think that is one thing that I appreciate about a lot of people in this community, is that we've all held on to a very strong amount of our inner child. And that is something that I think is also largely due to the genre we're in.
Yeah.
Because there's something about fantasy that like keeps that I don't know what to call that, like the youthful imagination.
It's the creative. It's the creative innocence.
It nurtures the creative. Which is very cool.
This year is my year of refinding my inner child. We've had that conversation before because she had to grow up real fast, and we lost her a little bit, and it sucks finding her later. But you know, it's like I said before, it's never too late to find that inner spark. So
yeah, absolutely. One of the questions I had for you that we sort of segued into this a while ago, and then I forgot to continue to segue us into that.
Sounds right.
But so when I was reading through your Goodreads today, and all of your reviews, they were wonderful, and I enjoyed that so much. But what does it take to make a book a 5-star read for you? Like, what are the elements that you look for that are like, here are my check boxes of like, these are the things I absolutely love every time?
of course, like everybody, have their own tropes that I like. I love Motley Crew. I love found family, and I love strong sibling relationships. But I have to have a story that makes me feel something emotional. That doesn't necessarily mean that I cry when I read this story, but to make me feel something inside that is either personable to me or that is so powerful that it just, the only way I can explain it is it just kind of fills me up.
Yeah.
And when I finish that experience, I just have this almost euphoria about me where I either can't stop thinking about it or I can't stop just mulling it over in my brain. Malazan, Gardens of the Moon, it took me a month to read, and I thought about it for a year after I read it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And same with Daughter of the Forest. It took me a month to read. That book made me cry almost every single chapter. But the relationships in the sibling bonds that were in that book, and how strong Sorsha was written as a character with everything that happened to her and her growth that she had from start to finish, and the gentle portrayal of moving through trauma and living with it, because you don't ever fully recover from it. You live with it.
Yep.
And how that was portrayed, it hit me personally. So that was something that was personal to me, but also made me feel such strong emotions that I could not stop thinking about it. So for something to sit with me for that long is almost always a guaranteed 5-star, because something in there obviously is rattling around in my brain.
Right.
And it's not necessarily to do with tropes. It could have some of my favorite tropes and be absolutely a horrendous read because it was just not written well. There was a YA a while ago. I probably read the review. Jade Fire Gold was supposed to be an enemies to lovers sort of romance. It was a YA, and it was Asian inspired, which I absolutely love Asian inspired. And it was so poorly written in every aspect of the writing, the dialogue, the plot was basically non-existent, that I couldn't give it more than a 1 or 2 star, because even though it had some of my favorite tropes, it just did nothing. It did nothing. And that's, of course, maybe for someone else, it was their absolute favorite. And that's the beauty of this whole space that we're in.
Right.
But it mainly comes down for me is what did a book make me feel?
Yep.
What emotions and how strong were those emotions did a story make me feel? I mean, if you're going to kind of bring in movies or K-dramas as well, because, stories are stories no matter the medium.
Yep.
You and I sat and we had a 10-hour watch party for the finale of My Country.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure we cried for an hour after we finished watching that. And then we talked a little bit, and then we cried some more.
Yeah.
Because it just stuck, and the emotion and everything that happened in the development of that story and those characters just hits you in the gut, like like a physical punch in the gut.
Yep.
And I still think about that story and that show, and I want to go back and rewatch it, but I know it's going to hurt.
Yep. Well, I mean,
5-star.
When we watched it together and had because we watched the show for our hour and a half or whatever it was, and then talked for 8.5 hours afterwards about the characters, about everything that happened. We had a whole discussion, all the things that it brought up for both of us. Oof. And that was my 5th watch through of that drama, and I still was a bawling mess. Yeah. And that's, I think, the best part about the stories that stick with us and stay the longest and hit the deepest is that those, it doesn't matter how many times you've seen it, because it's there, it's already in there. It's just gonna bring that back up to the surface every time.
The line I missed you still crushes my soul.
I'm tired
still crushes my soul.
Yep.
And I said to my friend Megan, I was talking to her about it, and when you think about, you put yourself in that position, because that's what reading does. You put yourself in the position of those characters, and then I started crying all over again. It's I can't imagine my friendship being that friendship and everything that they went through. I can't imagine how much that would break me. And then I just started crying all over again. But you know, if something is going to, she finds it funny that I look for stories that are going to break my heart and break my soul to pieces, because if it's going to break me and just completely shred every ounce of emotion that I have, it's likely going to be a massive 5 stars. I want to bawl my eyes out. I want to feel every emotion. And even if I go to bed that night and I feel like absolute crap about myself, or
that was a great time.
It was so good. It was so good. I felt everything. And so pretty much just make me feel something, even if it's hate or anger or disgust, make me feel something. And you've got me pulled in.
Yeah. Love that. There were a couple of comments I wanted to grab from, let's see, where were we? Zin said, I consume stories because life sucks in a lot of ways, so I want to escape to people doing cool stuff. That is absolutely fair. Yep. And I love people doing cool stuff in books.
And many times I like to call that fluff reading. For me, it's fluff reading. My brain needs to go elsewhere. I need to escape into something that's not as crappy as what I'm experiencing right now. And that is fluff for me. So that lifts me up, lifts my spirits a bit, and doesn't make me cry.
Emotional. Right. You want to get away from that.
I want to get away from that. So that's the fluff. And
well, I mean, that was one of the things I loved about Dark Age and Iron Gold is like, there's something really lovely when you get done reading a book that you want to bleach your eyeballs after, not to name any names, but, and then I immediately went to Red Rising characters, and it's just like military campaign for like, 15 chapters. And I was like, perfect. I need to like work some of this out, I need my dual wielded axes in Skyrim for a while here.
I need people to die.
There's something wrong with us.
I know.
But yeah, I mean, it's funny how books can meet you like wherever you're at for whatever mood you're in. Yeah. It's great. It's the attempt to find common ground that's important. Absolutely. I love this. Laura says the inner child thing is definitely connected to fantasy, or we all have, to be honest though, this is a very neurodivergent crowd we've got going on over here. And it's pretty wild. I love it.
My brain is not like the others.
Not like the other girls.
Nope. Nope.
Britton says, singularity of style, emotionally stirring and moving, engaging storytelling, story that enraptured me into the world.
Yeah.
I need some characters, man. Get me emotionally tied to your characters and we're good.
Yeah.
I do like other things in my books, but that's like
I could read a story with zero plot. And if you've got a fantastic character arc from start to finish, I'm there. I don't need plot.
I mean, it's funny because a lot of people I've talked to, and we've kind of discussed that Long Price Quartet by Daniel Abraham is one of those series that will test you to see if you're a character-driven reader or not, because it is so deeply character-driven and intimate, but it's written in such a like complex, like it's not an easy read per se. Like there's a lot going on. There's a lot of plot, but it's very slow. It's very realistic in the sense that like you have to wait for things to take effect in this series.
I like it.
But I read that and I absolutely loved it and was like, yeah, like this character driven ride is just so good. And the payoffs, the friendship arc in that series is just wild. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
I was like, all right, we've read the TBR already.
I need all of the commentary on it. The arcs of like the marriage arcs, like the relationships between the couples and the friendships and the siblings, and just it's incredible. It's truly incredible, and I'm very angry that we don't talk about it more on BookTube, and that's all I'm going to say about that. That's not a new.
I need to read it.
You do.
Yeah.
I'm willing to believe we all have ADD, or it's just a huge shared hallucination. You never know.
Sounds about right, actually.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, Ryan. I believe wholeheartedly in Pierce Brown's ability to turn this around. Dark Age has been an experience. I can see how we got to a point where Pierce Brown needed to take a break. That's all I can say. But I'm looking forward to Lightbringer because I know that he did the right thing by taking a step back and recentering with his characters. So proud of him for that.
It takes a lot to do that. Is it already established author who's had
with a traditionally published deal who's like, hey, give us that next book? Right. Yes, it does.
That's impressive.
Yeah. LPQ is definitely great. Yep, Daniel's a fellow LPQ fan. Dagger and Coin, I'm very excited to read. That's another Daniel Abraham series. He's also half of the authors that wrote The Expanse.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Which I'm also excited to read.
I started watching the TV show and I got bored.
Yeah, I can see where, like, even LPQ, like, if you're trying to turn LPQ into a visual adaptation, it would be very painfully slow. Like, I think in book form, that's one of those books that I'm like, I don't think this would work as an adaptation.
And that's fair. There are some that just wouldn't.
Maybe, but I just don't think so. Also, if you needed another reason to read it, it's probably the most unique magic system I've ever read.
Okay.
It's very cool.
Okay.
That's especially as a creative. So, just saying. You know what, Zen? Yes. I have no idea. I don't think I want to know. Honestly.
I even wonder if there are any more conversations.
They've just given up, maybe.
Yeah, to be completely honest, if there are even more at all.
Hey, Jessica, Dark Age and Lightbringer together was my favorite. Nice. Love that. I can see that. I've been told that I'm going to want to pick up Lightbringer the minute I finish Dark Age. So I don't know what's going to happen at the end of Dark Age, but I have predictions, but we'll see if I'm right. So we have before, and we could again probably talk for 8 hours, but we're getting close to 2 hours. So I want you to leave the chat with some books that you're like, put these on your TBR. These are books that we should be reading.
Well, Song of the Beast, which you just finished, just recently.
Everybody go get it.
Is 100% one that should be put on that list.
Yep. And it's a standalone. And
it is a standalone. It is very easy and quick to get through. And it is a tortured character, because surprise, who has to learn what to do after he's been tortured physically and locked away for 17 years and is just let go all of a sudden into the world. And he has absolutely no clue why he was even put there in the first place and what to do now. And he has to learn how to live and live a life that he can move on from, but also try and understand why and what's happening and what's going on, because there is still that plot behind there. So fantastic book. One of my favorites of all time. If you are into potentially checking out a YA/middle grade, I think it is a phenomenal book that was written by a very young author called Hawk Song by Amelia Atwater Rhodes. It is a book that I picked up and I found randomly when I was like 13 years old, camping up north, and we went to some random little tiny bookshop, and it was for like $3 on the outside bin that they just put to get rid of. And it is one of the books that I am still to this day so incredibly thankful that I found. It is a war-torn society that has been in war so long, no one even remembers now why the war started. And you have two young people who are doing everything they possibly can to bring their people to peace and bring their people out of this war that has destroyed everything that they know and love. And what does that look like? What does it look like in the decisions that they have to make for the sake of their people? And how do they evolve together and as individuals through that? But it's a very short read. You'll get through it probably in a day. But I think it's one of the most fantastically written middle grade /YA books I have ever read. And it is a wonderful book, especially for young kids to start reading if you have a young one who you'd like to get into fantasy. Another one, of course, is Daughter of the Forest. I have to put that one out there as one of my top reads of all time. If you are needing of trigger warnings, there is a scene in there. There is a chapter in there to be aware of. However, I think it is handled so well in how she uses trauma in that aspect to develop this character throughout the entire book. It is not something that goes away. It is not something that is resolved. It is not something that she heals from 100% completely. She has to live with this thing and figure out how to live life now and what does that mean for herself. And the characters that are written in that book are phenomenal. If you like anything that's nature involved, sort of pagan-esque magic, fairy woodland sort of vibes.
It's very dark Grimm's, like not Grimm's fairy tale sort of.
It is a Grimm's fairy tale. It is based on the Six Swans, which is a 3-page short story, which is phenomenal that she came out with this book that's based on 3 pages. But it's an absolutely beautiful story. And if you want sibling relationships where you have this group of siblings that do everything for each other, it's wonderful. And yes, there is an essay scene, a comment in there in one chapter. So that is something to be aware of. I know some people have had issues with that, and I understand completely. I think if you're aware of it, then you can see how that evolves with the character and goes forth with that character.
Agree.
Oh, so that's 3. You said 5?
As many as you want to share.
What do I want to share?
Song of the Beast, Daughter of the Forest, Hawk Song.
Let's see how many more. Oh, The Will of the Many by James Ellington. Holly freaking Luya. I absolutely love this book so much. It was my top read of 2023. I was a fan of his Lycanius, and his Lycanius trilogy has a lot of new author issues, as a lot of books do, with brand new authors as in their debut. And you can tell in The Will of the Many that he has learned to hone his craft so incredibly well. It was visible on page. It was so cool to see him develop from what I've seen in Lycanius to this book and just make it so effortlessly, brilliantly beautiful in that development. And it was a non-stop ride from start to finish, not necessarily with action, but just with intrigue and action and characters. And it was just, your brain was going all the time of what's going on, what could be happening. And then the epilogue in true James Islington fashion blew me out of the water, and I have absolutely no idea what's going on. I have no clue what to expect or what to predict, and I don't care. I loved every second of it. And this is also a character I could put on the who do you want to hug and who do you want to adopt, because I need this also to be okay and to be loved, because that boy needs some help and I love him so very much.
I'm very excited to read that one. That one is
so good.
Yeah, that one's very
so good. I mean, I am biased a little bit because I did like Lycanius. Not many did, so I'm a little biased, but it's so good.
I have the first one of that too. And here's the thing with that too. Like, I think in some ways that authors, the world is very unforgiving to new authors. And that makes me sad a little bit because like you want to put out a polished product, but also it's almost like, if you make mistakes and you're not like you're figuring things out when you're writing your first book, especially when it's in a genre that's as big as epic fantasy, like that, the emotional and mental drain and the amount of energy that it takes to create something of that magnitude is so much. It's just so much. And so like, I think sometimes we get very nitpicky on new authors, and I agree. That's one of the beautiful things about something like the Lycanius trilogy and Will of the Many is that you get to see them like they start with a really cool idea and they do, you like the series, and then you see how they've grown by the time they do the next thing.
It's so fun to watch, and it's so fun to witness it in real time. I can't wait for the second book. I think it's supposed to be like a 5-book series, so we're going to get more than a trilogy.
Okay.
He's not for sure, so I'm excited about that. But if I were to choose one last one, it would be, and I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I am going to say the Last Herald Mage trilogy in that omnibus. It is a story about self-discovery, self-acceptance, sacrifice, and there is LGBTQ rep in that book, which I really love the representation. She was way ahead of her time when it comes to representation in her stories. And the amount of sacrifice that Vaniel goes through in this whole trilogy is just astronomical. It's overwhelming in a lot of ways, and you kind of sit back and go, how does one person go through all of this stuff and still be willing to sacrifice for others and do for others? And it's a really great there's some characters in there. There's specifically one character who is a side character who goes through a great transformation from book 1 to book 3. And it's really wonderful to see that not just the side character having that development and that involvement in the story, but in the way that development is and what it's involved in. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but it really says a lot about this character, that they're willing to say, I might be wrong. I might not be in the right here. I might have been done wrong in the past. I'm going to try. I'm going to listen, and I'm going to do my best to try. And it's subtle and it's small and it's not a huge part of the series overall, but it's a beautiful part of the series. And Vanyel is one of my all-time favorite characters. I absolutely love him, and he also needs a massive hug. That is a theme, and he needs a huge hug. And by many people, everybody give him your love and read the whole trilogy, because it's beautiful and it's tragic and it'll make you cry a few times, which I love that. Of course, 5-star, because emotions. Emotions. So that would be my listing.
That's an awesome list. I have read 2 of those.
You're on your way.
I know. I've almost got the Casey bingo card.
Well, I know where how to get a hold of you, so I will hound you until you fill out the bingo card.
Find me.
Or at least halfway.
Yeah, exactly. You know how to get halfway to my house. Right. All right. Well, guys, go down in the description box below and click the link to Casey's channel once again, so that when she is ready to come back to her BookTube channel, we are all waiting for the content. It will
be eventually. I promise.
Yeah.
It will be.
I will make you put content up eventually. But yeah, Casey, thank you so much for joining me this evening.
Thank you for asking me.
Coming
this was
on
so
my
much
channel.
fun.
It was. I have absolutely loved getting to know you better this last few months, and like watching K-dramas and having very deep character discussions.
Very deep.
So yeah, I love the fact that BookTube as a community offers us the chance to find people that become friends off of BookTube. That's something that's very special. So yeah, everybody in the chat, you guys rock. Thanks for hanging out with us this evening.
Thank you
for all the comments and all of the book recommendations that kind of filter through the chat as we're going. Great. So yeah, check out the books that Casey mentioned, and if I remember, I will put those in the description box below by the link to her channel, so you can check it out. I hope you guys all are reading 5-star reads and crying over them. I hope you're having a great week, and I'll see you in the next video.
Bye.
See you guys later.